compared, my oldest son was severe. So he's more, I do this on the replay. We are going to, I gotta get my phone back down. We are bringing on Alicia Dragic, and she's going to be telling us her story tonight. So I'm going to invite her on this call. Let me try to do it without putting my phone away. Alicia. I see you. All right, I sent you an invite.
Okay, I got it.
And I have to put this on a tripod because you have to have your hands free while you're trying to have a conversation. Otherwise, you can't talk having your hands tied.
So I just sent you a request.
Got it.
Okay.
Approve. There she is. Thank you guys for coming on too. Bring Alicia on the camera. Yes, this is what we want. This is going to be great.
And
excellent.
There we go. It worked.
Yay!
So cool.
Oh, this was a monumental feat. We have got Alicia on Facebook Live and Alicia on Zoom, and so no matter where you're at in the world or what time of day you end up watching this, it will be available to you, and we will put it on YouTube when we're all done here too. This is exciting. I met Alicia at Silver Retreat. That's how we got to know each other, and so that was, I don't know, it's been a little while.
A while ago.
2 years ago? 2 years ago?
A year ago, actually. It was last fall, I think. Yeah, last fall.
Yeah, that's right. Last fall we met. And while we were there, I said to Alicia, okay, Alicia, so when are we going to hit gold? I know I'd like to hit it by whatever date I said at the time. And she says, well, actually, I just hit gold today. I said, what?
Excited.
We should be celebrating.
I was so excited. I didn't believe it though. Yeah, I was still kind of new. I felt weird being there.
So she's at Silver Retreat and she hits gold. And then what's even crazier is I think it was the next month we come home and I see everybody congratulating you for hitting platinum.
Yeah, it went really fast.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
That was a great, so you're going to have to tell us that story, but that's just the backstory of how I met Alicia and how we've gotten acquainted. And I've kind of kept tabs on her ever since because she's an amazing person to follow. And she's got a great story. And that's why I invited you guys all on to hear it tonight. I feel so privileged that she was willing to do this for us. Alicia is a nurse practitioner, certified registered nurse, right?
Registered.
I know there's differences, so I want to say it right.
Well, I'm a nurse.
GAPS certified. GAPS practitioner certified. You should say it. You should tell it.
Certified GAPS practitioner. It's all the same.
There you go. And also a mom of 2 special needs boys. And so we're going to hear her story through all of that and what got her to this moment where she's at right now, where her husband's about to retire. Is it at the end of this month?
So excited.
Yes, that's exciting. And be home with the family, and they'll be working the business entirely together, although I assume he's probably been working with you all along, huh?
A little bit. It'll be a transition for sure, but I'm super excited about it.
So take it away. Tell us right from the beginning, what got you interested in natural health and what led you to Young Living?
Okay. So with my background as a registered nurse, a lot of people feel like you just kind of fall in to oils or natural health or whatever it is. And actually it's kind of the opposite. I had a very strong, I don't know where to look. I have Facebook up here. I'm just going to go straight ahead here. So as far as my background, I, obviously believed everything. I was very mainstream medicine. I believe we had a lot of the answers, that we were really helping people. And then my son was diagnosed with autism when he was 2.5. And actually, he would develop very typically until he was about 15 months. And then he had a really bad vaccine reaction where he lost all his language and he started having horrible digestive issues. And by 18 months, when I went to the appointment, the nurse practitioner there was just boys talk later, no big deal. He had several more vaccines, which then led to seizures, and he pretty much lost everything. He was very, very sick. But nobody was really concerned, unfortunately, and all they offered him was speech therapy. So we kind of started with that, but he never really realized, and he didn't know they were in the room. So how do you learn to talk when you aren't even where the therapists are there? So I started researching other things. At the time, I didn't know he had autism still. I had, I lost a baby, and then I was very pregnant. You know what I mean? So I look back, why didn't I see this at the time? But I was just a lot of other things going on in my life too. But when he was finally diagnosed, I had done some research and I looked online and they were saying removing gluten and dairy from a child on the spectrum, their diet was showing, 70 to 80% of kids were showing some improvement. And I thought, well, he's got all this digestive issues. He was really he would just scream all day long. He would lay his belly over the couch. He obviously in pain. But the GI doctor we went to was just like, well, that's autism. Why are you here? I mean, literally picked us out of the office. And so I started realizing there wasn't anything out there that they could offer me to help him. So I had to start looking elsewhere. So we started this diet. I'm a very all or nothing person. I don't know if that's how any of you are too, but I'm pretty much he got diagnosed. I read this diet would help. That night I threw out all our food, and the next day I went to the grocery store and spent 4 hours looking for gluten and ingredients, and we just went gluten and dairy free. Within a week, he had his first normal diaper that he hadn't had in 2 years at that point. And within 3-4 months, he was calling me mama again, dada, kiki for his brother, putting words together. I'd say ready, set, and he'd say go. I mean, just things were starting to come back. And so I started realizing that was kind of my, we always say that aha moment. And I realized how much, if these were what, they were telling me this was crazy. So our doctor, the Autism Society in town, don't listen to those people that say diet helps. They're crazy. They're just hippies. They're, you don't want to, it's Google. Don't Google because you're going to find out all these things online that, aren't true. It's just it's dangerous is what I was told. So I started realizing, well, if this is what is helping him, what else do these people know? Because they're the only one, the diet obviously was beneficial for him. And so that's when I started researching. I started going to conferences. I was working 12-hour shifts at the time, and my littlest guy never slept, 45 minutes at a stretch for his first year. He had a lot of food issues, a lot of things. He had a vaccine reaction. I actually noticed his a lot more at that time. Just a lot going on. So I would be working 12-hour shifts, and I would come home and I would read all night researching, trying to figure out what to do, because it seemed like every person we went to, nobody was able to help him or really wanted to. They're like, this is just, he was born with this. Nobody would take my story seriously. And so it just became, it kind of turned out into who I was. And then I started seeing how much diet was really helping. And that's just kind of where, he was 2.5. We started with oils 3 years ago, so he would have been 7. So it was quite a bit of a journey before we even found oils at that time. But that's kind of just a little bit of background. Obviously, a lot more was going on, but really, really saw the power of food and just natural things that didn't have a lot of, he was very reactive to chemicals. I could tell when our water filter needed to be changed because his behavior would change. Dyes were very, he would get hives, and just, I would notice a lot of things that he was very sensitive that way. Same thing with my little guy too.
So it was at this point that you were introduced to the oils?
I actually went to an autism conference in May of 2014. Back there. I don't know if that's on your side or mine, but yeah, I went to an autism conference, and actually they had a presenter there that was a doctor talking about the oils, and kind of in the context of kids with special needs. Obviously, oils don't cure anything, and that did not take my son's autism away, but they're very supportive. They have, he at the time, although he was speaking and making great progress, he had to have surgery in 2012, was it 13, somewhere there, about a year or two before I started with oils. It had a really bad reaction, not only to the anesthesia, but to some metal that was put in his body. And so because of that, he started losing weight. We had to go on another special gut healing diet for him called GAPS, which is why I became a GAPS practitioner. But just a lot of things like that happening. Well, because of that, he started having panic attacks and anxiety, and it was kind of spiraling that way for him. And I could see him heading the wrong way again. And, if you've ever seen your kid regress once, you don't want to, it's panicky when you see it again. So I was looking for something natural to be able to help him. And so they were talking about how you can use essential oils that, they support the body. They help calm, they help with sleep, they help with, a lot of those things I was kind of looking for at that time. So I ended up just enrolling with somebody online that I did not know, which in the end ended up being a good thing. But I just Googled autism and essential oils, and back then there wasn't as much with compliance. So I found a blog where someone had recovered her own son. And so she was talking about oils in one of her posts, and she offered a free book. And I didn't even know oils came in my starter kit. I just wanted the book because as an autism mom, you know, like that's all I do is read, you know, and research. So I was like, cool, I get a free book. So that's why I enrolled with her. And I remember ordering Joy, I think Vetiver. I had a couple extra ones that I, you know, kind of researched ahead of time. I was like, well, maybe that'll help. I didn't even realize Joy came in my kit until this kit came. I had like 11 oils in the kit. I was so excited. I thought I was getting samples. I had no idea. And that's how we got started. That was in July. And first couple oils I used, I was working night shift at the time. I would do 6 12-hour night shifts in a row. And so I experimented with oils before I went to work one day, which put me to sleep because I did stress away. And I was like falling asleep on the way to work. I'm like, this is not going to work. But by the end of that shift, you know, I started using the oils more, and I saw, for me, a big difference. So I knew then, you know, I'm always the guinea pig. So I started using them with my kids, and I was on Essential Rewards by the end of the month. And the rest is history when it comes to oils. They were incredible. Just diffusing oils, I would see such a difference. That's one of the things I think where I was thinking applying, you know, we're thinking about different ways, but diffusing at night cannot be overemphasized because especially with kids, they're there in that room for between 8 and 10 hours a night, and they're getting that constant supply of oils. So diffusing at night for my kids became a really, really big deal for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're in every cell of their body. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, it's kind of echoey.
I had a note. My mom called and said that they weren't able to hear us good through Facebook, but I think they were getting feedback from my computer, so I turned the volume off.
Okay.
So hopefully everybody can hear us now. But
I can hear you. Yeah.
That's an amazing thing what you're able to do with diet and making healthier choices and eliminating the toxins that your children are exposed to. So that's your health journey there. Well, how did you end up getting into this as a business then?
Well, I'd always wanted to be home with my boys. It was just I remember being pregnant with my oldest son and kind of like right around my 6th month, maybe 7th, and telling him stay in long because I just wanted to bring him to work with me. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and it just wasn't possible for us. You know, before we had kids, we weren't really planning to have kids. So we hadn't really set things up to be able, you know, that I would not be able to work. So that summer, right when I was starting to use the oils, I was starting to think about going back and becoming certified to be a GAPS practitioner because I had seen how much it had helped, not just my oldest son, but my younger son, like, because I mentioned he had ADHD. I mean, he was so crazy, honestly, never slept. And just within a few months on that diet, all his food allergies, and he had multiple food allergies, those improved. His bouncing off the walls, I mean, like his sugar level would be steady because he used to, you know, he would get hypoglycemic. I mean, there were so many things I saw with the diet that were beneficial. So I wanted to go back and help other parents with it too. I felt, you know, maybe that's something I could do from home that I'd be able to help and be a GAPS practitioner. So in September, I became certified, but that's also around the time I started thinking like, wow, oils would really complement this really well. And so I had some friends at work. One of them got a kit right away. And then I ended up having my first class in September, and I enrolled a bunch of people there. And my husband, he throws this in my face now because I was so passionate about the diet. Like food is my thing, you know, because I saw that was my first results with my son. But he's the one that told me, he's like, these oils, this is where you want to go. He's like, this is where the business is going to really take you. And I was like, no. And now I don't practice much as a GAPS practitioner. I do a lot more with the oils just because it's kind of the gateway for some people. Maybe I have people being like, why eat at McDonald's all the time? Like, how are the oils going to help me? But also now they start using the oils and they're seeing the benefits of doing things naturally. And it's kind of the gateway for them to start looking, say, okay, you know, maybe I could do a Whole30 with you, or, you know, trying different things with their diet too. So I've seen the benefits of that as well. But that's where it started. It was in September of that same year. So only a couple months I had my kit. And that's something I always encourage people to really explore it. A lot of times in the beginning, we feel like, well, I'm brand new. What do I know? You know, or like you're watching someone else teach this eloquent class that has been doing it for years. And you're like, I could never do that like them. But I honestly, I think had my best enrollment successes when I was brand new because I had so much passion for it. I had seen what it had done for my kids. I was so excited with the changes I was noticing. And so I feel like that's where it's really important to not be afraid in the beginning to share your story, because that's what really people see that. They don't care if you know every little detail about every little oil. You know, they really relate to that and helping people that
Yeah, exactly. So that was in September, your first party. You enrolled some of your friends, maybe some family.
way. Mm-hmm.
How did you
Yeah.
go from there to silver?
So that was September. September was a good month. I remember, like, I had a couple classes. I had pretty good enrollments in September. October got a little slower. I don't remember why. I just know I didn't have as many, like, I think I had 1 or 2 enrollments in October, but I was still talking, you know, I kept going. In November, my upline that I had enrolled with, this person I never met before from California, actually flew to our area. She flew to Chicago because she had some other girls there that she taught classes for. And because I was only a couple hours away, she was like, if you come pick me up, I'll come teach a class for you. So I loaded 40 people in my front room of my house. We just moved out the furniture. I piled in the chairs. My sister had a bunch of folding chairs. And so, you know, we had a class there on a winter evening. It was snowy and nasty. My son puked in the car on the way there. It was like not what you think of a stellar moment, but I had 11 people enroll at that class. So it's just, you know, being in the right place, and that kind of momentum helped. I actually hit executive that month. And then it was just kept going. I didn't really honestly think of it like, you know, sometimes we overanalyze it and like, okay, well, how did that happen? Or why did that happen? Now I do that more. I just was sharing and everybody was so excited. And I'd post on Facebook and I'd have people asking, you know, about oils. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, this is how they work. Or I'd meet with somebody. So then I became silver in March. And so it was then that I really like, because I wanted that. Back then you got the Aroma Complete or the Premier Aroma Collection or whatever they call it now. So I wanted to get silver in 6 really, really bad. So that was a huge motivation for me. And so that's when I hit in March. That was when I actually started looking at the business, is when I hit silver. So it seems a little backwards, but it was just happening because I was sharing my story. And then I started realizing, okay, we need, you know, building legs and, you know, going further than that. And then that was the first time also too, I realized, you know, I could maybe come home with this. This is something that I could do and not have to work anymore. So actually in June of that year, so it was a few months after I hit silver, I quit my job. And it was kind of a leap of faith because my income was probably half at the point. And we lived off my income a lot. So it was tight for a while. And then that summer, I don't know if, you know, if you've taught classes through the summer, everybody's on vacation. And so I was doing classes, like 2-3 classes a week, and nobody was coming. So then I started stressing out. And that's another thing when I really learned how important it is to make sure you're focusing on the right thing. Because it was so much more natural and fun when I actually focused on the oils and not so much the money. And I need this because I need, you know, we need income, we need food, my kids are hungry. And once I started just realizing that and focusing, you know, I maintained for almost 9 months. There was no growth. I, you know, was kind of concerned about how things were going. I started in like probably February, March, so almost a year after I hit silver, not really seeing a lot of growth. I started reaching out. And instead of looking at, okay, I need the instant income, so I need to sell a starter kit, get that $50, I said, well, I need to look at other people that I don't know. So I reached out to everyone in my team and I said, wherever you are, I will drive, I will teach a class for you. You don't have to do this as a business. People can enroll with you. You get a nice little bonus check for them enrolling with you, but I'll come teach a class so you don't have to worry about it. As I started doing that in about March that year, and I just continued that. And so at that moment, you're not seeing the immediate results from that. But that's when, like probably in July, that summer, so again, about 15 months after I hit silver, I started seeing the momentum pick up. Because again, now there's people that I would never have met otherwise who now all of a sudden got excited and they're sharing their story, and it just kept going from there. And so that's where, when I met you in September at Silver Retreat, I had just hit gold because I had my 2 silver legs, and I had legs, my 3rd and 4th leg, I was growing together. And so I just kept them growing together. I reached the volume for about platinum. I think it was actually the platinum month, but I was really close in September when I reached gold. So then that's how I was able to go gold to platinum. And so that's been already a full year again. So from platinum to diamond, there was no leg. So it's starting all over from scratch too. So that's why in the beginning, when they say to get 6 legs going, there's a reason for that, to make that a little easier to grow them together.
Yeah, but at that point in time, growing those last two legs probably made a huge difference for you as far as having had quit your job and now building up a sustainable income, huh?
Mm. And you have to kind of shift. Sometimes it's like, that's the other thing, is being willing to change with this business, because you do shift into more of like a leadership, and you're helping other people to reach, or you're going and teaching classes for other people. It becomes a lot less about you. And so you have to kind of, you're always having to shift and adjust to what other people need so that you continue to grow. It's when you won't change and you're kind of stuck in that one spot that you don't see the growth. And so it's a learning curve the whole time. Like if you're finding like, okay, it's always doing the same things and being consistent, but it's also on top of that, how can you adjust to meet the needs of your team?
Yeah. So if you had to answer a couple questions, let's start with lifestyle questions. What is your favorite oil or favorite Young Living product to use?
Oh, goodness. All of them, but yeah, probably Valor. Valor would probably be my favorite oil. Valor is just incredible for everything. Valor's kind of been my lifesaver lately. I love, yeah, and Valor is amazing for my oldest son. I'm very calming, good for sleep, emotional balance, physical support. Like it's just all around awesome oil.
That's awesome. I love Valor too. I'm sure you probably got everybody out there like, yes, Valor, Valor. Gotta love that. That is so funny. Okay, so Valor is your favorite Young Living oil. What is your favorite as far as business building? Let's say script for teaching the class, or do you have a favorite method that you like to, or person you follow and how to teach a class?
Oh, that's tricky. We would get a lot from my upline, but we are very different personalities. So I find like a lot of the ways that she teaches are different. And that's something that I always make sure, you know, I find like over the years, a lot of people will maybe exclude their upline if they are different or if they disagree with them. And I find that that's not the best thing, because maybe it's not somebody I relate to or how they teach, but somebody in my downline will. That's why I like to have just a wide range of resources for people. As far as scripts, I've always made my own. And I tend to just, I wouldn't say that I follow any one person. For a while I was following like Christy Collins, because she's an introvert. I'm an introvert. So I kind of related to her that way. And then she kind of, did her own thing and cut everybody else off, not on her team. So I was like, okay, so I had to follow somebody else. And I just try to learn from everybody, I guess. I take bits and pieces of what everybody has, and then I make it my own. And I mentioned being relatable. If it's not me, it's not going to come across right. People can tell if I'm being salesy versus like I really believe in this. So that's why I feel like making my own scripts was really important, because it's something I researched, I really liked, and I'm willing to do, like, if somebody else is like, hey, can you teach us on this subject? And maybe it's like oils and animals. I have cats, and you don't use a lot of oils with cats, so that's something I'd have to research, and maybe it's something that's a little tricky for me. So I do a lot with more cross-line people. So there's a lot in like our larger organization that maybe aren't on my team, but I'll talk to them a little bit. I just like getting ideas from different people, and that's, yeah. I don't really have. I like the 12 Days of Diamonds. I have been following them. I'm way behind on the videos, but that's something because you have such a wide range of personalities and things that you can pull in. Otherwise, I mean, I'm a yellow. I don't know colors. I'm sure you guys know the colors, but I have a lot of green in me, which means I like that organization. So I need things. I need my planning, my schedules. I like laying things out. I don't like chaos, which like I cleared my whole bag. It was a mess. It's a mess right now. So I feel very chaotic in my mind when things are a mess. But yeah, I don't know. I know some people usually have somebody they gravitate to and learn a lot from, but I like Bethany Shipley. She has that diamond workbook. I just got that, and I'm going to start that in January. So I'm really excited about that. So if you're like more of an organized, needing a planner kind of person, that can be really helpful for being structured. Yeah, I'm trying to think who I followed. Jen O'Sullivan for a while, and then I kind of moved on. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and I think it's just reaching up, but remembering not to forget, like, to get your business stuff done too, your income producing activities, before you're following or learning from other people too.
So let's say somebody just getting started and they're like, okay, Alicia, I think I'm ready to do this. What do I do first? Do I start with my first class? How do I make this happen? What advice are you going to give somebody either just getting started or maybe they just hit start and they really want to make a run for this?
I think it really depends on their personality style. So for me, if I would have overthought it in the beginning, I probably wouldn't have jumped in as much. I would have wanted it to be just right. So I think, a lot of times I'll just tell people, you have your kit, right? And learn your kit and just a couple things about each oil and have a friend over and say, I want to practice. And you practice a class on them and see how that goes. And that kind of gives them some confidence. I think game plan is a great just overall way to look at the business, looking at game plan and the workbook with it and kind of, understanding when you want to understand more. Some people, especially like people who are more organized and planning that way, like to have that understanding first before they jump in. So that might be something that I would send to them if they really want to. Most of the time, I say, get a friend, somebody that's not going to laugh at you and someone that you're going to feel confident and comfortable with. And just say, can I test this on you? Or a couple friends, and do like a mini class just to get started. And go from there. Because a lot of times if I start coaching, okay, for this class, you need this, or you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this, and they've never taught a class before, they're not going to understand until they actually been through it and have questions. Okay, this didn't go well, or that didn't go well. What would I do differently?
Sorry, I was muting the coffers.
Oh, it's okay.
No offense to the coffers. We love you guys. That's good advice, though. I love game plan. We've got a lot of people on our team who have found a lot of benefit from that. People that were just getting started that have really taken off with it. And it's the kind of thing that you could go through more than once because it will hit you different at different stages in it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So what's your plan to go from platinum to diamond then? Besides planner from Bethany Shipley.
That's to get me more on track. My husband coming home should honestly be a big help to me. Personality-wise, like I'm I like to just jump in. Like when I do something full force, I love planning, like I said. So, I like load my schedule. Like I was doing 2 to 3 classes a week. I loved it. I was into it. I just replaced my job with that. But then like this last year, I got really sick. And so things have changed. Like I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. I've had a lot health-wise that I can't do. So I did one class. I'm trying to remember now. I did a one-on-one. I take that back. I didn't even do a full class. It's been months. So I do a lot more online. And so I've kind of had to shift again in how I'm dealing with that. So that's something else like too, if you're working your business and things change, circumstances change and things happen. So the key is to still be consistent, but sometimes you do have to shift. Like I can't do as much in person now. I do a lot more online. I do it only on my good days. And if I have to stop, I have to stop. If I have to cancel things, I have to cancel things. That's really difficult for me. And that's one big reason why, because I actually, after I met Leah at Silver Retreat, on the flight from Silver Retreat home is when I got sick, and I've been sick ever since. So it's trying to make, like I lost a lot of momentum, I felt like, because of not being able to do as much and people expecting that. So it also taught me I wasn't really teaching people how to go and do this themselves. They were really reliant on me to do the classes and me to lead things. So it's another thing too, making sure that other people can go off on their own as well and start their own businesses that way, doing it their way, their style. So as far as getting to diamond, I guess my big thing is my husband's going to be my go-to person. He has a ton of energy and he's a blue personality. So he is really fun and loves people. And so he wants to do, yeah, I see thumbs up over there. So I love, like he literally has, we tested him last night. I think he has like 3% green in him. And that is debatable. No green. So I'm the planner. So I'm going to kind of be, and this is actually kind of exciting for me that I can be the home base, because I can do that on the days I'm feeling good. I can, I'll manage our follow-up from here, the mailings, the planning. I'm going to plan expos for him, where he needs to go and all of that. And he wants me to, because he doesn't plan. So he wants me to go ahead and, he's like, just send me, I will go. So he's all excited. He's got his stuff for his chiropractors. He's got hair salons. And my husband's also from Bosnia. So we have a big Bosnian community in our area here. So he's already got a couple kits that went out this week. And so he's kind of new. He did game plan with us this summer and kind of was slow starting from there, but he is getting fired up. So he quits his job January 5th, and he's going to be he's like, I want to be out. He goes, send me out. He's going to do volunteer work, 70 hours a month, which super excited about that for him, because it's something we did before kids. So I'm glad he gets to do that again. Hopefully someday I get feeling better, I can join him too, but he's going to go ahead and work the business out there, and we're going to get to Diamond next year. That's our goal. But I also motivated him. He wants this karaoke machine that he's always wanted forever and a day. And so I told him if he sells so many kits, he can get it. So that's another motivator. I'm like, let's get to Diamond. Here's your machine.
That's great. He's motivated by the prizes. That's cool. Well, you mentioned he's going to be volunteering his time. I know you homeschool your boys. At least you were, right? Yeah, still homeschooling your boys.
Yep.
So Anthony and Dana probably too, they typed in the chat this question: how do you balance faith, family, and young living? And I agree, that sounds like a lot to balance. How do you manage that?
The most important thing is setting priorities. And actually, how everybody's supposed to pick a word every year, what they really want to focus on. Mine this year was balance, because I was having to relearn balance, because before, I pretty much did everything. It sacrificed my health. When I worked night shifts, 12-hour night shifts, 6 of them in a row, I would work on a nap, and I just drink more coffee, and I just keep going. And then you can't do that forever, and you will crash. So for me, if you want to look in the context of, I'm very visual. So I look at even ULA. ULA breaks it down. There's 7 different, what's your priority? So I look if you're talking that faith is the most important to me. So when I'm planning out my schedule, that's what I put on my schedule first, all of our spiritual activities. Then I look and say, okay, my family comes next before my business. It just does. And making sure they have time for fun, that we get the schoolwork done, that, those important things happen next. And then for me, I need to have one day start to finish where I work my business, because if I do bits and pieces, I'm not as productive. So for me, that's Monday. Monday is start to finish. That's all I do on that day. We don't do school. I just do my business, because Monday, start of the week, is just, for me, I'm more motivated and I get that done. As the week goes on, afternoons, I tend to maybe work for an hour or two, maybe Wednesday afternoon or Friday afternoon. And that's about it right now. I try to get everything done in that time. And sometimes I don't feel like I get as much done. It can be kind of frustrating. And I know there's a lot of people, when you get to a certain point, right now, my team is around 25,000 people. So that's a lot of people to try to keep up with. That's where it's helpful to just have your leaders that you're trying to keep up with, so it's learning that balance, and learning on Sunday, I had to unplug. So on Sunday, I do not do classes. I do nothing business-wise. And so a lot of people, I'd have people saying, oh, we need to do a call this Sunday, or we need to have this on Sunday, or I'd like a class on Sunday because I'm home. It's something I've had to stick to even before I quit my job, because that's family time. I just make sure that's just, I don't get online anymore on Sunday. I need a day where I can just kind of unplug from everything. And so I think it's important, you choosing your priorities, what is really important to you, and then scheduling everything else around those priorities. And then also I've just had to learn to be really flexible, in that I may wake up tomorrow and I'm physically sick and I cannot do my plan for that day. And so I have to go with the flow that way too, and to know that that's okay as well. It's a constant process, I think, with trying to be balanced, but I've noticed when my priorities get out of place, because I tend to be I can get involved with it. I like it, so working too much and other things suffer. Things I don't feel as well. I'm not as happy. I don't feel balanced. So if that's how you're feeling, it's a good time to stop and to reevaluate that and to say, okay, how much am I going to put into this, and what can I do?
Yeah, that's good advice. I love how you prioritize it into your schedule first, and then it probably also makes you try to work more efficiently during your work times, so that you're focused on what needs accomplished. Do you set during the week when it's not a work time, do you keep Post-it notes, or you've got planners? I'm a blue, so I do Post-it notes. You have a planner. So
I have Post-it notes everywhere.
But do you keep?
I'm a big
as you think of it, write it down. So you don't forget to do it.
Yes. Right here. This is to the right of my computer. They're in this jumbled heap. No. So Post-it notes, yes. Also making sure when I'm really needing to be productive, I do make a to-do list. And so I can check things off. That's really helpful. I try to have like a notebook where like for giveaways or promos or rank ups or whatever things I'm mailing out that I can just, I have everything right there so I don't lose things. A lot of the sticky notes are what comes up like during that time. So maybe I'm saying, okay, today I'm going to mail out all my gifts to people. But yet somebody's texting me saying my order hasn't come, it hasn't shipped, you know, so I'm maybe dealing with that at the same time. So I have a sticky note over here saying, okay, their member number, their PIN, so I can call leadership for them and see what's up with their order. So that's kind of like my, I guess my incidental, so that I can still stay focused, but then, okay, I'm going to do that at such and such a time. It is hard, you know, and it's not, definitely not perfect, a perfect system, but you just kind of have to work with it too.
Right. But, I mean, perfectly. And so I said, at least if we did it perfectly, we wouldn't need the team. We need the team because we are so imperfect. They're like, just like you said, your upline is the opposite personality. It's like we need all these personalities because that's what makes it great.
Yep, definitely.
I am so grateful for you to be on there. Any final words of wisdom for the people that are on the call listening today? I know there's a couple nurses on the call, people that have worked in the healthcare field, people that are coming from that same like big switch from the medical mind into this, the natural world of young living and all that it brings. Any other advice for them too?
I guess like this is gonna be different for every person, but like for me, it's been very important on two things. One is living it. It's really important for me because just personality wise, I'm very honest. Like if I say something that I have to feel it, like I have a very difficult time hyping up things I don't feel. And so I have to live the lifestyle. I have to use the oils. I have to use the products so that I'm able to honestly share what they do for me. So that's really, really important, I feel like. And the other thing is consistency. And that's something that I struggle with now because I can't be as consistent as I would like to be. But like stopping and starting can be really difficult, especially starting again. Like losing that momentum is a challenge, and I've been there. So I feel like being consistent both in using your products and in your business long term gives you the best success. And I can't remember, there was somebody, like I said, I follow everybody and I, you know, get little bits and pieces here and there. But they said, if you just reach one rank a year, you know, if like first year you're star, second senior star, and you go on, I believe it's 7 years, you'll be Royal Crown Diamond. And so what job can really get you to that kind of income in 7 years? It's not. I mean, I worked in the healthcare system for like 10, 15 years. One hospital I worked at for 10 years. When I quit my job at 10 years, I had like $6,000 in my retirement plan. That was it after 10 years. That's nothing. There's no way, you know, when you retire that you could actually live on that. So just being steady, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, when we're watching everybody else's massive progress and, you know, and reaching, you know, I had somebody on my team went from starter kit to diamond in 11 months. I mean, I'm very excited for her, but not everybody knows 10,000 people in real life, you know, and that has this huge network. And so realizing a lot of times these success stories that we see, that's not going to happen for everybody. But if we don't quit, eventually we're all going to get there. It's just, like I say, I'm the tortoise and I'm okay being the tortoise, you know, but it's just continually to work toward that goal. What method of advertising do you do? Sonia just asked, what method of advertising do you do? So let me unmute you, Sonia. Hang on. And then you can ask, because I'm not quite sure what you mean by advertising. Okay,
hear me?
I can hear you, yep.
Okay, I was just wondering, like, do you use flyers, or like for me, I had like an advertisement put on the back of my my car, the window, the back window of my car. Have you ever tried advertising that?
I never have. No, I have done like flyers when we did like an event, and I've actually honestly only done one event. It's more my husband's thing for sure, so we'll probably be doing more. But at that event, I had just a flyer I made with starter kit things on it, and then how they can contact me. Just I had a lot of education. It was like a back and a front with some education on it. But that's it. You know, I don't have anything on my car. I've never, you know, put posts on Facebook that were, you know, I paid for them. it just really began with the people that I knew. I knew locally, my friends, coworkers initially, and then now just reaching out to people that already are enrolled and talking to their friends, and just, like network marketing really just kind of goes from there. But like an expo, that'd probably be the closest, doing something that way, but otherwise, no, I don't do any advertising at all.
Okay. One other question I have.
Sure.
With my coworkers, kind of, I've invited them to classes. They have not shown up. So I think, okay, I'm gonna work on trying to set up like one-on-one appointments with them. Did you find that to be challenging to get like your coworkers to come to a class for you, or was it more productive for you to do like one-on-ones with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's kind of a common thing. My husband, like his first couple classes, he did, nobody showed up.
Because I couldn't hear it.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you real quick, Sonia, just because there's some background there. Okay. So her question was, did you find like when she invites her coworkers and they don't come to the class? And did I find that like, then what would work, or like, what do you do if that happens? And so like my husband, when he was first after he did game plan, he was all fired up, he was going to do this, and he invited his coworkers and nobody came to the class. Initially for me, that didn't really happen, but it happened later where I started noticing people not coming to the classes as much. And people, I realized, they have their own lives and they're busy too. So yes, I did do one-on-ones. If there was someone I knew was truly interested, I would talk about it at work a little bit, and then just to kind of whet their appetite. Or I couldn't really use oils at work. I worked in labor and delivery was the last department I was in. And I don't know, you guys, most people think labor and delivery is like this fluffy, happy place. We are not happy people. I'm just telling you, labor and delivery nurses are so stressed out because it is such a challenging environment. And the town I live in, we have a really big cocaine and heroin addiction problem. So a lot of our moms come in addicted and they're going through withdrawal at the same time. So it's just sometimes a lot of bad outcomes, a lot of stress, a lot of emergencies. And so we're always on edge, and we eat really terrible, and we drink coffee from the pot. Like, who needs a cup? Because that's the kind of people, very toxic, exposed to a lot of chemicals while we work. So when it comes to oils, if you guys know, the more toxic you are, the more you hate the oils, because it's going to make you feel a little off maybe initially. So I couldn't diffuse, I couldn't wear oils. Stress away, that was the only thing I could wear at work. And honestly, it was really good for the patients too, by the way. Like, I couldn't put oils on them, but I would just oil myself up like all over, and they would calm right down. So it was great stuff. But yeah, so that was really challenging at work. So it became where I would try to like talk a little bit, or if somebody brings something up, or I'd talk about something that happened to me. And obviously my boys started doing incredible. And nobody really knew my story. So I started kind of sharing where we had been. A lot of people asked why I was eating so strange. So it's just kind of still just putting those little feelers out. Now, you may not see results right away. So like for my husband, he started doing this months ago, and nothing. I think his first kit he sold was almost a year ago. And then all of a sudden, because you put out all these feelers, they say it takes average of 7 times for somebody to hear something, for them to decide, yes, I'm going to do it. So it's following up with people, continuing to educate little bits, not dumping education on them, but just little bits. Like, this is how I use it. This is a little bit here, a little bit there. And then just posting. Like, I found for me, social media was really good because I wouldn't sit and say, oh, look at this great oil, contact me, buy it. It's awesome. I would post, like, my son had to have an EEG for his seizure disorder. And there's a lot of gunk and goo from those leads in his hair. And I just had a bottle of lemon oil, and I'm like, look at this. How smooth is this? It takes it right out. And happy mom, happy kid. Never like pushed. I wouldn't put promos on there, nothing like that. Just kept it strictly educational. And I had people reach out to me from that. I had one post about just the stinky cat. And this one woman, I'd been working for like 3 years to get her to get a kit. And she's like, oh, I could use that purification. From a cat post, like, you just don't know. So it's continuing to be there and reaching out to people. So the short answer to your question is it does not give up on them. And a class isn't for everybody. And for me, I don't know that I ever personally would have come to a class, honestly, because it's, again, having to say, like leave my home. You know, I have other activities. Maybe I wanted to take a nap, and now I have to come to this class and get dressed and look human. And I'd rather be at home in my sweats. So when I started realizing that, I started doing a lot more videos. So like Zoom calls like this, Facebook Live videos on, you know, in my group, you know, and I made a private group so that I'm not overwhelming people who don't want to hear about it. Just putting little posts for everybody, and then having a group where I did more education. And a lot of local people, when I asked, would you prefer an in-person class or a video, they chose video. So I think that that's kind of where things are going to, because people are really busy and they have time to watch it later. Or they can tune in for live 1 hour. They don't have to drive. They don't have to get dressed. They can just be home and be comfortable. So that might be another option too. And then reach out to people who attend that class.
It really is amazing what you accomplish with the power of technology, right?
Yeah,
I think about this, we were talking about doing like a Facebook Live video, and how instantly you're in front of your whole team of whatever you said there was, 15,000, 20,000 people.
Not in my group. Not in my group.
But you be in front of your whole team in an instant,
Exactly.
just like that. That could never happen otherwise. You could never get everybody all together. I just think that's fantastic.
Well, and eventually you have people from all over the world, you know, and so you can't go and travel to everybody and teach a class for them. So it's another thing, you know, even doing classes online or doing a one-on-one online, you know, using, you know, what is it, FaceTime? I don't have that, but like Skype, you know, I've used Skype, or even reaching out to people that way. The hardest part is they can't smell the oils. I wish, you know, somebody would invent like smell technology. You know, you can like diffuse it through the vent to them. That's the only downside. But something that I have found, if somebody's willing to have a class and have people at their class at a distance, is I will snail mail little samples to them of the starter kit, so that they're able to have that. Or if they have their starter kit already, obviously they can use that. And so using technology that way to teach a class long distance too. So it's just being creative and coming up with different ways to get it done.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am so grateful that you came on this call with us tonight. And the rest of the team had probably 25 people check in through Facebook, and a number of people here.
Forgetting what's up there.
So I love this. So you got a little bit of everything. I hope the Zoom didn't interfere with the Facebook Live. I know that it was hard for them to hear us at first. So once I cut off my computer's noise, hopefully that made it easy enough for them. But I am glad for everybody that got to tie in and listen to your wonderful story. And any last parting words you want to give us before we let you go back to your husband and your two boys?
I don't know. Is there any questions that anybody has? Anything that you really want to know? I didn't even look up here. Can't understand the repeat. Was there any questions? I didn't even look here. Valor.
I didn't.
The voice is on? The voice is on right now?
Oh, man.
I didn't even know.
They're watching you instead of the voice.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, there's a lot of feedback. Okay. Yeah, if there's any questions, and obviously this is recorded too, so you can let me know if there's, you know, some questions or stuff. But I think the main thing is just, you know, I think one of the biggest challenges when it comes, especially for building a business. So if that's what you're looking at here. I don't know if most of you are or not, but knowing why you're doing it is really, really important. And being willing to be flexible with that. I felt like for me, like when I would lose that motivation, like after I came home, well, I reached my goal, right? You know, so then I was like having to come up with a new goal. Like it has to be equally motivating. So I feel like trying to make sure to have that fresh in your mind, like where's your ultimate destination? And that's the same thing too with health goals. So like, why are you using the oils? Are we treating oils like medicine? That's the other thing. You know, definitely I find those are like probably the biggest challenges. I don't know if that's how it is here, you know, with your team too. But not being consistent, just in general, like not consistent with the oils, not consistent with the business is generally where we have the challenges. So I guess my final was, I don't really have a little, I'm not a special person. I'm not any different than anybody here. I know a lot of times people think, like I used to think too, like, oh, platinum or diamond, you know, they must have something more. And it's not. It's, do you want it? Because if you want it, you can get it. You really can. And what that means for you. For me, you know, again, once I quit, it took me a little while, and then it was like, you know what, my husband could quit too. And at first that scared me, honestly. So like, if there's couples listening, I know there's Anthony and Dana there too, but it was terrifying to me thinking of him being home full time, because that's a total change to my routine. Like I mentioned, I'm more yellow green and he's more blue red. And so it's like, it's just different, like how, you know, I plan my day out and he doesn't. So how is that going to look? But the more we talk about it, and that's a huge thing, is communication, being able to communicate between the two of you and say, okay, where are your strengths and weaknesses? And even if it's just you and your team, what are my strengths and weaknesses, and how can I use them to make this happen? And how bad do I really want to do this at all? That's the other thing, because you have to, you know, we can make excuses really easily. So then if we really do want to do this, then we just get rid of the excuses. Okay, so I will do this. And okay, that's a challenge. Okay, well, I'm going to overcome that challenge. And if you have a day where you just need a pity party, you have it, but then you move on the next day. So I don't know. That's kind of all over the place, but that's probably, yeah, like I said, consistency. That's really, really, really important.
Awesome. I don't know. I know in the past, we saw a few different also publicly or two.
Okay, I'm trying to look through here too. So Julie said you'll grow to love it. Oh, having both home maybe is what you're meaning. See there? Yeah, I'm super excited, and that's what I say. I think just like right now, if you're interested in growing your business and having your business grow now, sit down, write your goal, write down your why. And they always say your why should make you cry. You know, it's from your, like, it has to motivate you, because like for me, it was just, okay, you look and say, I was working so many hours here, so I'm just going to pour it in here. But it's really easy when you're the one planning your time to get easily distracted. So I think it's just really important to have a starting point. So, okay, this is my goal. This is where I want to be, and plan that out and work toward it and have smaller goals toward it. It's when you're you do it here and do it there, and you don't really have that. I don't know. But again, like I said, I have a lot of green in me, so I need that plan. 12 Days of Diamond. Yeah, I saw that too. I'm working on my 12 Days of Diamond videos. There's so many videos. That's just crazy how many videos there are.
It's funny, you made a comment earlier on there. I saw a gentleman was talking about, you said you had $6,000 in your retirement plan when you left the job, and he talked about how building to, or this is what it took, the average American only has $104,000 or something like that saved up for retirement, like once they actually get there. And then I was looking in a book, and it made the comment that if you have $500,000 saved up, it's equivalent to a silver income at retirement. So building to silver, I mean, you could do that in a year's time. So building to silver is going to get you that income, that retirement plan, certainly in place, better than anything else. Building to diamond, that's a whole new level. That's probably beyond what most people dream for retirement.
It's true. Well, and I think a lot of times we just don't think it's possible. Or I think, you know, a lot of times too, there's things that hold us back. Like, do you really deserve that? Or is that wrong to go there? You know what I mean? There's a lot. I find too, like what the business has done is really made me evaluate myself and work out. Like when you start the oils too, doing emotional release can also be really, really helpful, because there's a lot of things that hold us back, like being insecure or not having the confidence to move forward, having those doubts. And there's a lot of things maybe from our childhood or from before then that we need to work through as well. So I feel like the more, like they always talking about that, doing that self-development as well. For me, it's just really, really important. I find is like every day to start, like I do Bible reading, and that really, really helps for me being more focused. Okay, what is my priority? Again, that's my number one priority. So when I'm able to start with that, that helps me set the tone for the rest of the day, because I do find even with like the 12 Days of Diamonds, a lot of these groups, they have a different maybe mentality than I do. And so it's really, really important for me to be able to keep that balance so that I don't feel like that I have, you know what I mean? Like it's really, really easy to get caught up in doing too much more than I'm able to do. So I do feel like there's a lot of resources out there. So it's just kind of picking and choosing what works best for us.
Sounds good. Did you have any other questions posted on there? I didn't see any more.
Let me pull it up here. I do not see any either here. Oh, were there ever months when you weren't able to pay your bills after you quit work? Well, no, I don't. Well, I don't see. This is like the story of our life, kind of not being able to pay bills, even before like it got really, really hard. When we were first married, there was a lot of challenges. Feedback there. Is that me or you? There we go. Move that back a bit. Yeah, so we both did volunteer work full time when we got married, so we were broke. And then we moved to Chicago to help out in a foreign language field in Chicago. And we still, our house in locally here never sold, so we were broke. We used to live on car accidents. We're getting a lot of feedback. Hear that? Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Are you? Okay. Yeah, so we used to joke when we couldn't pay our rent, like, be careful driving, because somebody would usually hit us. A small fender bender, and then we would have enough money for rent. 5 times in 1 year, no joke. And then we found out we were expecting, which we couldn't afford, and then our son had autism, and nothing is covered insurance-wise, so no bills. So yeah, it didn't really faze us. We covered, I think our bills, I think we covered them pretty good. There wasn't a whole lot of room for extras, and there was a lot of budgeting for sure. This has honestly been a blessing for us because we're actually starting to pay off a lot of like things like medical bills. We have a lot of medical bills to still pay off. So that's more my motivation to get to Diamond, is to be debt free. I really, really, really would love to be debt free. Like, my husband comes home, we're debt free. That would be perfect. I would love that. Because it's just, it's just the way life was for us. So this is honestly, I mean, to have extra, to be able to breathe each month and to not have to worry about car accidents to pay our rent is a good thing.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, just feedback there.
That's a good question, though, Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we all probably go through that at some point in our life where it's a little tough.
Yeah. I think it was, like I said, it was kind of a leap of faith to do it because I wasn't sure where the income would come from. But it was also very, very important because it allowed me to focus my full time on the business versus, I mean, like I was working night shift. I had 2 little kids. I was homeschooling. We were still in autism recovery mode then. So cooking everything from scratch. Like, I didn't have a lot of extra time. And I feel like it let me sleep at night, which was huge. As far as being balanced, being home at night with my kids. And so it was something I'm really, really glad we did, even if it was challenging for a while. So sometimes you have to decide that too. Like, is it worth that challenge to make that leap? For us, it was. But it did take a while. Like I said, it took probably a full year to really see the results of that it was beneficial to do that.
Good question. Well, thank you. I don't want to keep on about an hour. And that was an hour that was so educational to me. I really appreciate it. I've even heard your story, and yet I still got more from you this time. So I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it. So Alicia, thank you for being on our call. She's a Platinum with Young Living, a mom of 2 boys, a nurse, and a GAPS practitioner. And I thank you for taking the time to teach us about how you've made it this far to Platinum and how you're on your way to Diamond. So you have a good evening.
Thank you. You guys too. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was nice to meet you guys too.
I'm going to disconnect over here first on Facebook Live. So goodbye to everybody on here, and good night.